All right. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year to you. It's good to be here hanging out with you on Saturday. Saturday is a perfect day to hang out. I never do a live stream on a Saturday, so I thought I need to come on a Saturday, and I'm overdue for coming on and doing a video here. It's been a minute. I've been taking some time off. Before we get into all things harmonica, and I got a lot to share with you today, how about a quick little jam on an A harp? Happy New Year, everybody. It's good to be hanging with you today. Got a few things I want to share with you. Start the new year off right. I got some things queued up that I think that might be helpful. Whoops, I do this every time. I'm trying to make sure I can see the comments, y'all. That's why I'm jumping over to my phone. I think I have some things that I would consider sort of like harmonica fuel, feeding the fire in the right direction for your new year to help you kind of refocus your intentions. But before I jump into that, like teacher mode and all that, I just want to say thanks for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, I hope you'll subscribe. I just hit 36,000 subscribers, which is not like an insane amount of subscribers compared to some of these top YouTubers out there. However, I'm not focused on the numbers on this channel. I'm focused on doing what makes me feel good and the content that I put out. And that's it. But if you want to subscribe, I'd love to have you subscribe so that I can keep you posted on what's going on in the harmonica world. I took a lot of time off between the last time I posted and this video, and I'm feeling finally just now ready to get back into it. And I'll start by saying that I have a brand new class that I'm offering up. I really quick want to mention this. It's a week from today. It's on Saturday. And it's Gary Primich. So it's basically a Gary Primich study. You get 2 for 1. I'm going to be covering Feel Like Going Home and Daybreak from the CD Botheration. And I'm choosing these songs intentionally for the new year because these tunes specifically are really great for like an advanced beginner or solid like beginner to intermediate, dead intermediate player. They're very approachable. Out of all the like collection of Gary Primich songs, I intentionally try to choose songs that are like, hey, these are really cool. These are some of my favorite tunes, and they're like completely approachable. Go listen to them. I'll link the songs after this live stream here is done. I'll put it in the video description so you can check those tunes out. Comes from the CD Botheration. It's on sale through the weekend. Why not join me for this first harmonica class? Check out that deal going on through the weekend. Just go to harmonica123.com. You'll see it on the homepage. And because I didn't come on at the end of the year, I have a newsletter that I run, and I didn't come on YouTube at all whatsoever. I'm going to offer specifically you guys, and obviously if you're watching this and you already took advantage of that sale, you can still do this. But like, I want to offer you guys a deal to take advantage of my recorded classes or anything you want on the website except for the upcoming class, which is already on sale. Through this weekend, if you want to use the coupon code YouTube 15% off. I'll put it in the video description later. That'll get you 15% off any of my recorded Zoom classes. All right, now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about a few things. So let's see who's in here. Hello, everybody that's tuning in. Cool, everybody. Good day to you. I want to get back into your harp playing hardcore again. Life has been so busy. I hear you. And all over the place. Happy New Year from across the lake in Michigan. What's up, Joe? Yeah, I love Primich too. Primitch is just one of my favorite players. And these two songs are cool because Daybreak's got the Latin vibe, and Feel Like Going Home has that gospel, sad country blues kind of feel. It's a cool finger picking going on, just acoustic guitar and harp. And it was written by, what's that cat's name? Is it Charlie Price? God, I don't want to mess this up. I'll put a video description to the original song that Gary Primitch took inspiration from when he recorded that tune, Feel Like Going Home. It's hauntingly beautiful. The lyrics are just incredible. Check it out. Okay. Slow down, Ronnie. Take a deep breath. What do I want to talk to you about? Well, it's a new year. A lot of people think about setting goals. I'm not much of like a goal setter. I feel like if you're going to set goals continuously throughout the year and reach towards them. I don't see why the new year has to be this like, hey, it's the new year. Let's get, but hey, why not? I'll jump on that. Let's talk about what you can center around that will help you for the new year. And what's cool, what I'm about to share with you, is that I believe that these are the things that really not only apply to what beginners should be focused on for building a solid foundation, but what intermediate and more advanced players should be really reconsidering to repave their foundation and figure out what's holding them back from getting to an even higher level. And that goes for anybody. I mean, at any level, you could re-examine foundational concepts that tie directly into these higher level nuanced parts of our playing, technique, conceptual, etc. But mainly I'm talking about, well, let me share with you. Let me go through my little list here. I think it's really important to think about these things specifically because when you hear a great player, like take your favorite player that you just love the way they play and you dig listening to them. I think what we fixate on is the nuanced part of their playing, the icing on the cake, so to speak. But we don't really realize that what's making them sound so great is their tone, their breath control, their ability to have perfect timing. All of the foundational elements are just right in place so that all of the ornamentation, if you will, sits nicely. And that's what people aren't recognizing. They don't realize that it's all foundation. That's the bulk of what makes our favorite players our favorite players. All right. Brown Derby Liquor, love that tune. Yeah, that's a good one. So here's what we're going to do. Here are the key 5 things I've narrowed it down to. If you write these down and you consider just having a bit of a focus month by month on these topics, I think you can find some new light to sort of re-engage yourself, let's say. Breath control, rhythm practice. If you're a blues harp player and you want to learn how to really improvise at a high level, 12-bar blues practice. Self-awareness and active listening. Those are my top 5. I'll say them again. Breath control, rhythm, 12-bar blues practice, self-awareness, and active listening. I could have listed a million other things to work on that are also quite important, but these are the ones that I keep coming back to as like they're missing from folks that feel like they're stuck. Boy, I'm really good. I've got a high-level piece of this and that, but I'm all over the place. By the way, I burned myself on my toaster oven. I'm really good at burning myself. So they're missing usually a little piece of 1, 2, or all of these ingredients where they haven't figured out what's missing. So I encourage you guys to go back and re-examine those topics, and maybe I can do a bit of sharing video by video throughout the month of January, talking about those topics in depth. I'm not going to do that in this video today, but I want to just introduce those things as being important things that I've noticed. If there's one thing you could take from me that I can say that I have that's of value, it's that I work with so many students that I get to see this broad, this picture, I scoped out picture of like where people are really at in the consistent challenges that go along with the majority of people, and they usually fall in these categories. So that's where I'm coming up with this. Please do subscribe. Yeah, hit the like button. Thanks for that tip there. Hit the like button. And why would I want you to do that? Because I'll reach more people that way. If you hit that like button, I'll be able to reach more folks out there down the road. So I will touch on 2 things, though. Self-awareness and active listening. You actually can practice these things. Active listening, you just need to put down your harmonica for 80% of the time. in a given week, let's say. Even don't play it 80% less and listen during that time, and play the harp 20% of the time after that. And you're working on really getting your ear trained, and you're really learning how to hear all these nuances, and you're having a minute when you're not distracted by your harmonica. Somebody said scales and arpeggios. I would not add that to my list as the top 5. It's an important one, and I love it, and I think it's a great point. Work on those things too, but it wouldn't be in my top 5. Top 5 being the breath control, rhythm playing, and 12-bar blues practice. And the thing about 12-bar blues practice, I will say this quickly, is that you, and maybe this will be perfect for a video coming up, be able to I remember a long time ago in a video, Adam Gusso saying this, and it resonated with me. It's not that I hadn't thought of it, but he put it very bluntly, and I'm like, yeah, he's totally right. You need, as a blues harmonica player, if you consider yourself a strong intermediate, you should be able to play something in a 12-bar blues fashion with no accompaniment, no backing track, no other musicians. And if you cannot do that, make that a goal this year. And when you do this, you're working on so many elements: breath control, rhythm, timing, right? You're engaging in chord structure and awareness of where those chords lay out, potentially techniques like tongue blocking. You can incorporate so many things when you work on 12-bar blues practice. And again, if you want to become a strong improviser, which for me has been a focus in my playing over the years more than acquiring, say, songs or melodies, then take my advice and get to know that very well. If there's one piece of theory that serves you over and over again and just continues to give back, it's awareness of 12-bar blues structure, so that you can get it out of your brain and stop thinking and just play. What else is going on in here? Let's see. Tell us your thoughts about the Seidel. I don't have any experience with that. I haven't touched a Seidel harmonica in over 12 years probably, so I don't know. I don't know anything about a Hohner Silver. Sorry, Dennis, I can't help you because I don't know anything about it. I know Seidel harmonicas. Seidel. I think that's how they pronounce them, Seidel. They're wonderfully made, constructed harmonicas, but I'm a Hohner guy through and through, and I love the brass reeds so much that that's all I want to play. Seidels, yeah, they're just a different beast. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to talk about it because I don't know enough. Okay, so to recap some of the stuff here, I'm going to put a coupon for all you guys that missed the end of the year sale. If you want to check out any of my recorded classes over the last 21 months, I offered up somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40 to 45 classes that are all recorded and on sale. You can get 15% off through the weekend. The code will go in the product description. YouTube, 15% off at checkout. And that Gary Primich class is on the 15th at 11 a.m. Central. So what can I leave you with today that's a concrete thing to think about? Number 1, breath control. I won't go as deep in it as I will into I'll do in another video, but I have a whole class on mastering breath control that you could grab on sale right now for 15% off, which would give you a really good structured way to practice breath control with exercises. But the key is to focus more time on, of the 5 things, I would argue that breath control is at the very top. Like if you had to rate what percentage time would you spend on each, it would be like the vast majority of my time, not the vast, but like the majority of it spent on breath control practice in various forms of practice. That doesn't just mean sitting there and holding a long note, but this kind of self-awareness thing tied into breath control. If you consider the fact that breath control can screw up your timing if it's not strong enough and it's not like in order, then it becomes really important because it's potentially negatively affecting all these other parts of your playing. Spend more time on this breath control thing. The name of the game is regulation, slowing down your air. That's what you should focus on, and relaxation, because those are the keys. That's the key to supporting like bending, for example, and strengthening all these other techniques that you want. And this whole idea of rhythm practice ties into breath control, because when you start to relax with your breath, the rhythm falls into place a little bit more, and you can become more aware of how to use your breath in a percussive manner, in that kind of chordal. And I think of like a big Walter Horton as the prime example, this perfect example of a guy that had unbelievable huge tone, massive support from his diaphragm, breath control was there, and he's just super percussive the way he lays things out. He was the master at that sort of, staccatoed approach to. Something like that where you're really, so you can bring it into, you can make this stuff fun. I'm not going to lay out, like I said, everything today, but like take one topic at a time. Like let's take breath control and brainstorm on your own instead of me saying, do these things like today. Try to first brainstorm what resonates with you and maybe make a list of all the different ways you think you might be able to work on breath control. I'll give you one. Chordal practice, just rhythm playing by dynamically engaging louder as you pull in on that chord, and then gently to louder again on the blow chord. Something that simple could be the ticket, because it's making you. And again, we're tying in multiple things: self-awareness, rhythm playing, breath control. A harmonica. And you could try to shape just the chord with tongue position at first and play around with these long breaths. But after you've done that for a while, that can get stale. So you've got to get creative with how you can work on regulating airflow. That means slowing it down. I wish I could understand what's being typed in there, but I don't speak the language that's being typed there. Sorry, guys. The more experience and years I have worked with the instrument, the more I realize how important the basics are. And that's the ticket, is that people are wondering what's holding me back. Just to get back to that point really quick, it's almost always foundation. You just don't realize it. You've skipped something in the process. You were fixated on trying to get an overblow when you hadn't mastered bending. Order of operations is a big part of that too. So you heard it here. If you're wondering, don't focus on overblows until you're, if that's what you want to work on, until your bending is like immaculate and you've got good control and intonation and good tone on all of your bends. That's first and foremost. And that's what I think. There's other things that I would encourage you to do as a beginner. If you're watching this and you're a beginner, I don't feed of a lot of information or put a lot out there for beginners, but make sure somebody's really helped you figure out how to hold the harmonica correctly. Make sure you know how to do that, and that you're working on clean single notes and things like that, because if you do that, you'll be able to work on melody and scale work and all these other fun things that you need to get down. Yeah, that's exactly the idea, Nate. That's right. Nate wrote, trying to make your note and hold the changes sound like a violin. Shaping one long note in different ways is what I was trying to say with the tongue position change thing. And what's interesting is not really the pitch isn't really necessarily moving around. It's more like the note is just being colored and shaped. I don't know if I'm like Yoda, but I guess if I'm like Yoda to you, that's cool. So the IBC got canceled, or they just rescheduled it. I think I just heard this for May. I don't know if I'll be there or not. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Okay. Have something like that where you can just pick it up and emote 12 bars. That idea that I presented of you make it a goal this year Don't be all over the map. I was saying in my Facebook group earlier today that we get inundated with information, and the toughest thing that our most difficult job or challenge is to how you organize this information, what to focus on first. I want to give you a quick example. It's like anything that's new to you. The beginning is like, oh, there's too much information. I don't know where to start. Just to give you a very small example, I wanted to learn more about NFTs and cryptocurrencies this year, and I started just researching it. The more I researched, the more confused I got. But it's super interesting to me, and I want to learn about it and understand it because I think it's a part of our future and an inevitable part of our future that's coming. So again, the more I dug, I was just like, this stuff is deep. There's so much to understand. And then it hit me. I'm like, now you understand what it feels like when somebody's picking up the harmonica for the first time today. There's so much information out there that it's too much. So here's my advice to you. Figure out where you're really at with the instrument today. Do you consider yourself a beginner? How advanced as a beginner? An intermediate? Where do you fall? But then take a moment and think about also what you want to be doing. Don't spend too much time doing what other people tell you you should do, per se, musically. Do what you feel compelled to do. That's what music's about, at least for me, is I want to enjoy it. So I don't want to do something that doesn't feel right to me. The only exception might be you're learning a new technique and it doesn't feel right, but you've got to give it time and work on it. So my advice is to reduce some of the noise coming in at you and take those 5 topics as a way to center around, like, these are important things, core elements to your playing to focus on, and then find several ways to find enjoyable approaches to practicing them, some of which I'll give you in videos coming up here. But figure out your gaps. Find out where you need to fill in the holes in your foundation, because that's what's holding you back if you're trying to get to the next level and you're not getting there. Bending's a big topic. We could talk about bending all day long, but like if you're having trouble and you're like, I only have trouble with these particular bends, there's some reason, muscle memory, strength of the tongue awareness, and breath control, and all. There could be a million little things that are contributing to it. Your ability to become more self-aware and adjust and practice that practice of self-awareness is what's going to help you find the solution for what's going on for that 3 draw full step bend, let's say. And let's say it's your nemesis to go. Check it against the 6 draw, make sure it's not too flat. Versus bent down all the way and 6 draw bend. Those are I'm giving the equivalent note on the register up. So my point to you is this: slow down, chew on less, find out what you really want to be doing, and start to get a plan for like the year. Yeah, you can become a little more organized. I realize that for music, some it's just purely a hobby, and it's not something that you're trying to develop to a professional level of playing. But let me give you this. Devil's advocate here is that when you treat it a little more seriously, it gives back to you. So if you're playing just for pure enjoyment, the more you learn, the better you get, the more fun this instrument becomes. And I know that each year I enjoy my music more and more because I've learned something over the year that has made me a better player, that allows me to express myself on a deeper level. And that's what it's all about. It's not about becoming the perfect version of yourself, but maybe just an improved version. You don't have to compete against anybody but yourself. Don't compare yourself to me or to the next guy. We're just different people and different stages. Cool. I see Dennis has posted Juke, Walter's Boogie, Can't Hold Out Much Longer, and the My Babe. Those are all great practice points, practice songs. Let me tell you one thing that you're reminding me something. This year in my classes, I'm going to do something different than what I did last year. Instead of just randomly throwing classes every few weeks and they're just different topics, and some are song studies, some are technique study, etc., I'm going to dedicate each month to a single topic. So this month is Gary Primich. So after I do the first class, the next offering in January, there'll be one more, will be a different Gary Primich song or songs. In this case, they're very short, so I did two. We're doing the intro, outro area of these two songs, where these lines repeat. So we're just learning that. But then I'll get into totally different thing, but Gary Primich again. And what I try to do in these classes is give you a chance to practice them along with me, ear train them. Of course, I'll send you tablature ahead of time, but you don't have to look at it if you want the real challenge, which is what I highly recommend. And then the next month, I'll get focused on whatever it might be. And I'll stay focused on that topic so that each class I offer has a different angle and ties into working on that. And that's my way of changing up. My focal point for this year is trying to be just a little bit more structured. I'm not a structured guy. That's not who I am in my nature, but a little bit of structure goes a long way to help me help you. So that's what I'm going to do. Oh, yeah. Well, you know that, Dennis. You're asking, do I enjoy playing jazz and funk in addition to the blues genre? Absolutely. Some of the most influential music on me early on, outside of blues, was funk. And I was working in multiple funk bands, or we call that mixed genre or fusion type bands. One was more jazz, funk, fusion. The other one was a rock, psychedelic funk type of music and pop music bands. And those were my early experiences with music right after I got a taste of the blues. But the whole time I wanted to play blues. So I love listening to a bunch of funk, from James Brown to even all the modern stuff. I'm a huge fan of, there were so many bands, Galactic and John Scofield and all these cool bands, but also the funky, the traditional, like the funkadelics and all that type of stuff. I was in a band called the Fundamentals long time ago. And so jazz for sure has slowly crept into my repertoire. I've probably got, I don't know, approaching a dozen or so jazz melodies in various positions. And that's something that was new to me over the years, was getting into breaking outside of first, second, and third and picking up fourth, fifth, and 12th position a little bit, not very much, but a little bit. So yeah, juke is the Holy Bible. I would agree. A lot of people consider juke to be the Holy Bible, and I love it. There are only a handful of songs that I decided instrumentally to work out note for note, and then kind of tweak them to make them mine. I never really committed juke to memory, although I've got all these lines in my head, and I could probably play a big chunk of that. I never committed it to memory. There are certain songs that I was like, I don't want to touch that. It's so near and dear to me that it's like William Clark, some of William Clark and Gary Primich's tunes and Paul DeLay. Not only would I not sound like them, but it was just, they're like the Holy Grail. I didn't want to go there. I don't know how to explain it. Just too special. Didn't want to play them. But I know that most people learn them. Yeah, the bends on second and third hole are your challenge. So in the world of bending, if you're going to make that a focal point for a month, let's say, spend the majority of your time making sure that you've squared away where the money notes are. 2 draw, 3 draw. We got multiple bends that exist in those holes, and the bottom part of a diatonic is the most important part in the world of cross harp, which is what most people play. I try to make up these exercises all the time in the moment, not just on camera. I'm talking about like in my own practice, where I'm just kind of usually looping an idea like, and the more bends you can incorporate into those looping type of practices, the better. Go look up, if you want a good bending one, look up, what did I call it? 12 bar bending practice? Something like that on a YouTube video a few years back. That thing where I was playing like... Now there's a smart idea, because you're working on making sure it fits into 12-bar practice. You got the chord structure to pay attention to. You're using almost all of the draw bends, almost every single one on the bottom, and you're working on timing. So it's like you're working on a lot of things at once. But when you work on something that incorporates many focal points, ooh, thanks for the tip, man. Really appreciate that. When you're working on multiple focal points, here's a really good suggestion. Pick one focal point at a time. Let me say that again. Eventually, you can extend that. This is really important, actually. This makes a lot of sense. If you are working on that exercise that I just played, slow it down and make the bends coming out at the right pitch, the intonation of the bends primary. So you might just go, the beginner would go, well, not a beginner, but an intermediate player might go. So they've slowed down the timing to really focus on just the bending. When that's cooperating, and you would have a sheet of paper up so you didn't have to think about it. When that's working well for you, you can work on timing. Not, let's say the bending's out of the picture, it's not an issue, my bends are now working for me. Well, you work on timing, and you might just go, okay, now I'm going to really focus my efforts on a tempo 5 or 10 BPM faster, and I might go tapping my foot for each note. Ba, 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 ba. So every single note gets a tap. So you've shifted your emphasis, your focus on just that. A beginner could take clarity of single notes as a focus and not use bending. You could do it with a bass line. So pick a focal point for the exercise, one at a time, then combine these focal points together when you can and say, I'm going to work on both accuracy of bends and good timing at a higher tempo. There's a greater challenge for you, etc. Hey, thanks again, Rydstrom. Appreciate you. My pleasure. Sure, Dennis, that's a good idea. Yeah, to type out a few more ideas of other harp masters and instrumental blues that really influenced me. But I can just tell you right out of the gates that Big Walter was a big influence, and Junior, well, not Junior, let's see. Big Walter I would put first as the number one guy. Then I would put Little Walter for song study stuff. But of course, we've got instrumentalists by a lot of the modern masters that were released, like, what's that song by Gary? Is it Red Top? Or somebody's going to know and type it in the comments. Maybe it's Red Top, I think. And Red Top, is it Red Top? It's going to drive me bananas. Chasing the Gator, let's say. William Clark, great instrumental, but it's pretty advanced. That's another thing about learning these instrumentals. You're like, maybe I want to learn that one. I want to learn that one. Slow down and own at least a portion of one first that you really, if that's all you wanted from it, but own it. Don't work through it quickly and say, I kind of got a version, I'm going to move on to the next one. What did you really learn from that? And was it really fun? Like, what's fun to me is when you finally get to the end of a song study and you can actually play it with passion and just like you've got it down by memory, and that's where it's a blast, because the process can be the challenge and the struggle, but when you get through it, so master little pieces and sections slowly, then move on. And make sure you're working by level, because if you're tackling Chasing the Gator from William Clark and you're a beginner intermediate, good luck. You're going to be so frustrated by the end of it, right? But if you are working on Red Top, Gary Primich, maybe that's a slightly bit easier. Maybe for you that's a little easier. Go back to something simpler like Big Walter Horton's Easy and Big Walter Horton's Boogie, and there's a million. Jerry McCain's Steady. These are great instrumentals. But for me, Sonny Boy was one of the biggest. Sonny Boy number 2, I say, was one of the biggest influences for me in my playing early on in the blues world. And yes, rest in peace, Harp Dog Brown. We lost a great harmonica player, I believe, last night, Harp Dog Brown. And I was really sad to hear that, even though I don't know him personally. I never met him in person, but we did have some interaction online, and he seemed like a real, just down-to-earth, great guy. Hell of a singer, good harp player, too. So, that's kind of sad. Work on that 12 bar. That's what I can say. If your focus is, I'll leave you this, improvisation. You've got several things you could work on. There's so many topics you could focus on. And we listed several today. Make that 12 bar blues structure something that you, if you don't own it today and you are pretty good at doing like bending and vibrato, but for some reason you've kind of like glossed over the 12 bar thing, go back and own it. Learn several things that you can play that fit to it that will help you out. What else do I want to tell you guys today? That's the bulk of it. I'll come back and do some videos targeting these topics that I've outlined today and look for a little bit more structure from me with regards to sticking to thematic sort of monthly topics in my classes. And take advantage of that coupon that I mentioned if you missed my big sale. It's all for you guys that here at YouTube. I usually make announcements and give away things here. It's all about YouTube first, but in this case, I was on my list. So if you're not on my newsletter, please join it. It's at harmonica123.com. Right on the homepage, you can sign up. That's how you find out about all things going on harmonica-wise in my world. Cool. Darren says he's been obsessed with the Paul Lamb since the summit that I did with him at the end of, was that the top of this year? No, the end of last year. Yeah, Paul Lamb is incredible. Paul should have at least a few instrumentals. Yeah. I don't know what, but because he plays a bunch of Sonny Terry and Big Walter, but he's got his own stuff too. He had a song that he had a hit with called Harmonica Man or something. Was that an instrumental? Let me just look it up real quick for you guys. Paul Lamb, Harmonica Man. That was the name of it. I don't know if it's an instrumental, but this was one of his hits a long time ago. It got a lot of attention. Can I play this? Will this play? Now I'm going to get in trouble for playing this, but yeah. Paul Lamb and the King Snakes. Look up Harmonica Man. That's one that he brought up too in class. Get excited. I always say, I'm going to leave you with this, and I'll say it like 5 more times and still talk, but get excited about something. This really is my final thought for the stream today. Choose things that inspire you. Live a little bit longer with less information and focus on the essentials and the basics first. Find creative ways to work those basics and fundamentals to death so that they support you when you're working on high-level bending and things that require, for example, proper breath control. Harping on a Riff is great. Charlie Musselwhite, that's a great one. Love Charlie's. I really love that song. Go check out Charlie Musselwhite. And know that I'm working on a lineup this year for some great presenters at the Global Blues Harmonica Summit, which is my other online offering besides my classes, where I feature guest artists and teachers and incredible players. Maybe I'll be able to wrangle the great Charlie Musselwhite into a global summit this year. He's done some online stuff, but I have never done one with him, and I'd love to do that. Also want to talk to guys like Billy Branch. I might try to reach out to like Sugar Blue just to let you know who I'm thinking about. I love Annie Raines, and I've talked a little bit about doing something with Annie Raines soon. She's an incredible player. Check out Annie Raines, Raines. And yeah, I mean, there's so many other players that I have on my list that I want. And also, I'll just leak it now. My first guest artist in the Global Blues Harmonica Summit is also a good friend and somebody that I've had the chance to work to help him study and train with, but now he's on the road and he's been working with Sting for, I think it's been a couple of years now, but Shane Sager, and he'll be the first featured artist in the Global Blues Harmonica Summit, and he's going to be sharing some really cool tunes from his from that collection of Sting songs that he actually plays on with Sting live. And I can't think of a better way to kick off the year because I love Sting and I love his music, and I think a lot of us love his music, but I've never really like learned any cool harmonica parts or lines that live in his music, and Shane has really come a long way over the last several years. So If you don't know Shane Sager, Sager, he spells his last name. Check him out. Look up some of the concerts that are out there now on YouTube and Facebook where he's featured. I think about 2 to 3 years ago in New York, he played his very first show with him on New Year's Eve. And that was incredible. He's just done so much with him at this point. So I'm really looking forward to it. That's what I got today. Yes, I see the other names coming up. Yeah, don't worry. I got a list going. And I'm looking forward to bringing great content to you this year. So thanks so much for tuning in. And I hope to see you at the next live stream, or who knows, maybe an in-person